here to talk to a couple of independent artists that I absolutely love working with. I want to give you guys, the Indie Interactive viewers, just an idea of the journey that independent artists go through if you're just starting out, or if you are, kind of in the middle of this journey and you want to just get some inspiration, learn some lessons from some other artists. This is what I do on my podcast, and I find that I get so many comments of people telling me how helpful it is. So I want to make sure to, get these stories out to you guys in these journeys, because it's so important for you to learn from other artists so you don't feel like you're alone. So I'm going to switch this to gallery view so I can see all of us, which I think will be fun. So I'm going to introduce, this is Beth Matthew and Jiana Wessel.
Hi.
Hi.
And I'm excited to talk to them about their journey. So let's start with Beth. And actually, if any of you guys are on here right now and you are friends with either of these two, you want to, shout out to them, just throw that in the chat right now on Facebook. We would love to see who's hanging out, supporting them right now. So Beth, let me just ask you, what is your music career like right now? Like, give us an idea of, what kind of music you make, what you do, how you connect with your fans, just a little snapshot of your career.
Sure, be glad to. And thanks so much for inviting me to be here, Bree. I'm really excited to share with everyone. I am a contemporary Christian singer-songwriter, and my mission really is to inspire, encourage others in their struggles, and point folks to God, and just to be authentic and be myself, share my own struggles, my own thing. And I, one of the ways I connect is through concerts and programs. I like to inspire people, so I'm an inspirational speaker, and also connecting live through Facebook, social media, but I developed a signature concert with your help, Bree. And so through that program, just, getting out and connecting with my audience and building fans that way.
So you wanted to let them know a little bit about how you got started, because it's a really interesting story. So I want to hear kind of like how you got started in music, like in a more official way. Like a lot of us have, sung forever and stuff, but how did you actually start this journey in your career?
Absolutely. Yes. And like you said, I've sung forever. I play piano, play keyboard, been doing that for a long time. And 3 years ago on March 8th, I felt actually called to go to this Nashville Road show, which was local. And Bernard Porter from Nashville, Tennessee was hosting it to learn about the music industry and to share a couple songs. I did Patsy Cline's Crazy. I did a song I wrote when I was 16 called Rejoice Today. And it was really, really well received. They loved my presentation. They invited me to come to Nashville to record like that day. It was crazy. It was so exciting. And I had the best time. And I knew leading up to that, I just felt like music is always my passion. And I just felt like something big was going to happen. So within 4 weeks, I was in Nashville working with Roger Ryan, who is an awesome producer. He's worked with CeCe Winans, Winona Judd, just a lot of great artists, and traveled internationally. And he's been nominated for Dove and Grammy and all that stuff. But he's amazing. So I was 4 weeks going down, recording my music, doing my debut album, which they recommended, and they were fantastic to work with. I had an awesome experience. So that just really propelled me fast getting into the music industry. And then I realized that, wow, like I didn't really know what I was, after all that, I didn't really know what I was doing. It just was a little bit overwhelming. And I had a lot of fear. And I remember Bernard saying, Beth, it's good for you to be out of your comfort zone. And I would say that for all of us, that he was right. And so I did some local events, and some of them were well received. Some of them, not many people showed up. And I just struggled with every emotion musicians struggle with. But And then I went to the Gospel Music Association, had a conference called Immerse, which was really helpful. And I realized then something Roger told me. He said, Beth, you don't know anybody in the music industry. And mind you, I had no website. I had no social media presence or anything when I recorded my album. And I don't know if Bernard knew that, because he said, Beth, you need to let your fans know. I was like, what fans?
Like,
like, what fans? I don't have any following. I didn't know, it was really crazy. And actually, I'll go ahead and say my age, if this will help inspire other people. I was 50 years old. So I was dealing with all those questions like, gosh, what am I doing? Is this really make sense? It's either the craziest thing I've ever done, or it's the most sane thing I've ever done, because music's my passion. And so, I developed a website. I developed all these things. A lot of it I did on my own. And Roger had said, you need friends in the music industry. So I went to that conference he recommended, started making connections with other artists around the world or country or the US, and going to a lot of workshops like Tom Jackson's On Stage Success, all these different things, learning a lot, loving it. Did that 2 years. I didn't do it immediately. So, I've taken it slow and gradual. And then at the last conference, I won't go into detail, but I've had some big disappointments along the way. So I had some big disappointment thing happen, and right at the end of the conference, I was invited to sing at the Dove Awards after this really horrible thing happened. And that was amazing, to sing in a choir with Stephen Curtis Chapman, and it was just a dream come true. And I did that in October. And so I feel like God just continues to do things like that for me. And then I joined your academy in August. It showed up, in the female indie community. I joined that in July. It showed up on my computer screen one night. I was up late in the night, and I was like, wow, what's this? And I felt like I was supposed to join it.
I was stalking you. No.
You were stalking me. And Bree, I clicked it, and I was just intrigued by the title. At the time, it was Women of Substance. And I just thought, wow, that's so cool. I've never seen anything like this. So I joined, and then just kind of watched and observed for a month. And then I got involved, and contributing, and just women of all genres of music. I thought it was awesome. And then just began to just love what was there, just the ways to support and encourage one another. And it was unlike any other group I'd been in. A lot of other groups I'd been in, it was a lot about self-promotion, and I really wasn't getting any help from other people. And so I don't know, I need to stop talking, but that's part of my journey. And then after the indie community, I joined the academy because I did some training with you. I think it was How to Get More Done in Less Time.
Oh, yes.
And that was awesome. And we formed accountability groups with other female artists. And some of the women in my group were just amazing. We're still friends. And so just all of that really inspired me. And then in February, you asked me about being on the music review board, which was awesome, for the Women of Substance Radio. So I've been doing that. And then just last week started as coordinator for the female indie musician community, which is a real delight. And I love helping and encouraging other musicians and artists, and it's just a joy to be here. So
such a super cool journey. Before we get to Jiana, I just want to ask you one question. So
sure,
with your signature concert that I helped you create recently,
yes.
Tell them what it was like to do your signature concert for the first time, and that feeling of being able to, be really transparent and with your audience versus just singing kind of to them or at them.
Absolutely. Yes, it was amazing. And thank you for your help developing this. I don't know that I would have ever done it. So for everyone listening, Bree helped me develop a signature concert program where I'm just authentically me, and I'm sharing music from my album, my Clear Vision debut album, along with stories that tell my music journey and relate to the songs. And I'm also doing some cover songs in there. And so honestly, I was nervous up to the point of my concert. And then once the thing started, I loved interacting with the audience and sharing my struggles, sharing my triumphs, my joys. It was really well received. I had a lot of people come up to me afterward and were very encouraged. Quite a few people bought my album. They want to have me back. Two of the people at that church have written quotes for me to use on promotional flyers. They also are wanting to send it out to the pastor of the church wants to send it out to a bunch of people. So it just was a great start, and I was totally energized, and I couldn't believe that when it was done. I was like, this went by too fast. Like, I wanted it to keep going. It was really, really a great experience, and thank you for all your help.
Well, and the cool thing is you've created this asset now that you can go out and do it over and over again and be able to experience that and deliver it to people and have them, really, really, get a fantastic experience out of it. And so I'm so excited for you because you built this thing and you are ready to like go out there and promote it to the world now, and you have a plan versus just like, how am I going to get these fans? Now like, this is my vehicle.
Exactly. And I have one thing else I want to share quickly is that before, I did quite a few events, but I was customizing everything to what I did. And it was a tremendous amount of work. And it just seemed perfect now because my music journey continues, but I'm sharing, this story that people want to hear. They want to know about my music journey. They want to know how it all relates, and just, relating to my songs, relating it to their lives too, and to encourage and inspire them. It's just a fantastic feeling. So thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to jump over here into the chat. First of all, I want to recognize some people that are in here, like supporting you guys. But before I do that, I would love to know if anyone in the chat can really relate to this idea of like, okay, I created this album and now I'm being told that I need to have fans, but nobody told me that before I created this album. So what do I do? And like, I've spent all this money, but I have no one to sell it to. So I'd love to hear anyone in here that has had this experience. And I want to say hi. How's it going? Grace, great to see you. Florence, let's see who else. I know Elle, Matungi, and Tara, so nice to see you here. Other Beth Fulcomer, so nice to see you today. Bridget, oh man, you guys, I love seeing you guys here, hanging out and, getting to know these women. Many of you are in the academy, so you know them a little bit better, but I want to, really get these stories out to a lot of people and let them know that, there is life in music after 50. That's one thing I love about Beth's story. So let me jump over to Jiana now, because the reason I wanted to feature these two is because they are very, very different. Jiana, they're both amazing, but they have completely different styles of music. They're in kind of different, generations a little bit, different backgrounds, all that stuff. So Jiana, let us know, just how did you get started in music and what does your career look like today?
Before I get started, I just want to say, Beth, for being 50, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Good point.
Thank you. And can I, sorry, I don't mean, today's my birthday. I'm not 50 anymore. I'm actually 54. Oh.
Wow.
So, but thank you.
I want to look like that when I get to
I know. Me
Thank
too.
you. Thank you so much, Jiana.
I just had to say that because I was like shocked when I heard your age.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, how did I get started? Well, do you want to know the very, very beginning?
Sure. Whatever you want, you think people could benefit from.
I think the very, very beginning is so funny because my genre is symphonic metal and my niche is goth opera metal. But yet, when I was 10 years old, my brother took me to see The Little Mermaid, and that was it. I couldn't stop singing.
Oh, Disney.
Awesome.
So that really started it all. And then, growing up, I had a lot of obstacles. My father didn't want me to do music. He didn't. He just wanted me, this is going to sound really crazy. He wanted me to be a spiritual advisor. He wanted me to read the tarot for people. He wanted me to be a high priestess type of thing. He didn't want me to do music. So it took a while. And then when I was 17, I heard Sarah Brightman and I fell in love. Well, first, when I was 13, I heard Metallica, and I loved it so much, and I would fall asleep to Metallica.
I love this contrast between I heard Metallica and I heard Sarah Brightman. Like to me, those are totally different things, but to you, they mesh, you know?
Yes. And then at 17, one day I was in the bookstore and I was like, oh my God, who is that? And then I found out it was Sarah Brightman. It was the album Eden. And then I fell in love with classical and opera. And then I had to study that. So then I didn't actually start studying voice or music professionally until I was 26. So 9 years later, actually 8 years later, I finished, because I jumped around a lot in majors. I studied web design, graphic design, illustration, opera, voice. And like in between all that, I really wanted to just do music, but I was also trying to please my parents at the time. And finally I got my degree in something, got my degree in music, and my husband, and I was thinking about going back and continuing that. And my husband was like, why don't you just do what you really want to do and be an independent artist? And I was like, you know what, you're right. I should just do that because I love opera, but I can't do just opera. I also love rock and metal. I mean, what I really love is symphonic metal, which is the merging of the two. And then, because the nice thing about it is that I can use my operatic training in that. So that's how I first got started. And I mean, I had nothing. I had no music released. So I didn't have the issue of Beth, like, okay, I got an album and I've been fan. I actually had the opposite. So I had nothing. So I just started doing videos on YouTube and doing covers. And then I actually released my first original a year ago. Actually, no, first I released a cover of Hello by Evanescence. And then I released my first original. And now I'm finally, a year later, working on my first original, my debut original EP. Because my original EP was supposed to be done last year before Christmas, but the producer I had stood me up and everything. And it was a very lonely time. Very lonely. And
that's a pretty common story. I can tell you that, or, they stand you up, they doesn't work out, money issues, all that stuff. I mean, we've all been through it.
Didn't have a guitarist, all that stuff. And then, I found you guys and I found you guys because I was taking songwriting courses from Kevin Thomas. And he one day sent me an email talking about how to get more done in 90 days. And then it was a webinar with you, Bree, but I missed the day of that webinar because of work. So then I saw the replay and then I bought the course. And then you had that Facebook group where it was like, okay, it was about basically the same thing, but condensed into 5 days before the new year. And then you were talking about the Female Musician Academy, and then I joined that. And the beautiful thing about the Female Musician Academy is that I've noticed that ever since I joined it, I've been a lot more productive. Because it's very exciting, encouraging seeing yourself featured every Sunday on that Sunday Spotlight letter. It gives you fuel to do more.
I agree. I mean, I love to share the wins because it's exciting to me to see all that you guys are doing. But I also see that it's encouraging everybody else in the group. Like, oh my gosh, these people are accomplishing so much. I better step it up, right? I need to get on this list. Exactly. And I love that. So tell us what has worked for you in building your fan base, because you've done it the opposite way, which is exactly what I recommend, where you didn't release your album yet, but you've been building your fan base and you've been getting some good support from your fans. What's been the best way for you to build your fan base?
Well, I knew my niche when I started it because I had taken this other course by this other lady that helped me get all that together. So I knew what I wanted my niche to be. And I knew that I wanted my music to be about, because growing up, I always felt like a weirdo and an outcast. And I mean, even my beliefs are not really, how would you say, mainstream, because of my, spiritual practices, like Christianity, I mean, you see a church pretty much at every corner of road, whereas my spiritual practices, it's more secret, small groups, we get together, we do our rituals and things like that. We honor the goddess, and the earth, the seasons. So I wanted my music to be about, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be a rebel, an outcast, an outlier. That's what makes you uniquely who you are. And then that's where I also started connecting it to the archetype of the dragon, because dragons are very misunderstood and they're either loved or hated, but it's that uniqueness that makes them so powerful. And I've always loved dragons, so that just made sense. And that's where I also started calling my fans dragons and telling them to spread the fire. And they loved it. It really caught on. Oh.
Yeah, I love that you have kind of created this name for your fan or people that like your music and identify with not just your music, but kind of your way of life or the way that you approach the world. And so you've sought out these people that have similar experiences to you, and they tend to also like the same music.
Exactly.
So how do you find these people online?
Well, the way I find them is, I follow a lot of people on Twitter that like bands that have influenced me. And I also follow those people on Instagram that like the bands that have influenced me. And then on Facebook, I do specific targeting to people who are into the same stuff I'm into, which is like, Gothic subculture, Nightmare Before Christmas, they're into paganism, witches, vampires, all that stuff, dragons, and that's how I'm able to find these people. And that's how, like, on my Facebook like page, I populate it with all these things that appeals to my niche. And then, like, they love it and they get into conversations talking about, oh no, I think that's an ice dragon. No, I think that's an air dragon. No, I think it could be a combination of both and all this stuff. And it's really cool.
That's very smart. And I know you're very good at interacting on like Twitter and Instagram and actually responding and engaging with your fans, which has made you super successful and gotten this like group of very, very devoted fans because of that. So how have you monetized those fans as far as like, how have you kind of moved the conversation into like supporting you as a musician?
Yeah, right now the best way I've been able to do that is getting them over to my Patreon page. And so I have different levels of dragons. So Earth and what was it? Earth and Air dragons are like $1 reward, and they get the download of the EP, the artwork that comes with it, the private Facebook group, the exclusive Patreon feed, name on the credits, and then $5 is the Fire Dragon level. And they get all that I just mentioned, plus, 2 pieces of digital merchandise as well. And then the Black Dragon, that's the $10 level, and they get all that and 3 pieces of digital merchandise. And they get everything that I release first before anyone else does.
I love that. I love that strategy. And I love that. So just curious how you like introduce that to them? Because it's always the hardest part is to like move the conversation from like things that you both enjoy to like, oh, by the way, here's my music.
Well, I've only had one person sign up for that through my email list. The majority of them have been talking to them on social media. And it usually is like they say certain things like, oh, I'm your #1 fan, or oh my God, I love your stuff so much. When are you coming out with music? And then that's when I start telling them what I'm doing. And then that's when I transfer them over to that. I tell them, hey, go check it out, So, right now I have paused it a bit because I am so absorbed in getting this EP fully recorded before I go on vacation with my mom to Las Vegas, which is like June 7th to the 15th. I'm like, because I don't want to be thinking about that when I'm there.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to like pull away and actually get a break. But I love that you're doing these individual conversations and you're listening for those cues of like, okay, I think they might be ready for me to present this to them because they're telling me that, I'm your biggest fan or I love what you do. And it's just a natural response, right?
Right. So then I mean, like I had one that for a while was telling me that, and I actually brought it up to him, I think probably 3 times. And I was like, hey, you can just join for just $1. And he was like, okay, I can afford that. And he did it for just $1. You know,
That's
I guess
cool.
some people feel like, oh my gosh, you know, it needs to be so much. And sometimes you need to remind them that it's not that much, you know, and you can always upgrade later, you know.
Right. It's just like merch. You got to have different levels available for them. Maybe they just met you and they just want to buy a sticker, you know, and maybe they've been coming to your shows a bunch of times and you just like, they just really want to buy your whole package of stuff. So you have to give them different levels. So
Exactly.
let me jump back to Beth and ask you guys both this question.
Okay.
What would you say? What is the biggest lesson that you've learned, you know, building your musician business?
Sure. I would say the biggest lesson is you've got to believe in yourself. I think something that I've found out in my journey is that there is an audience. It's kind of what Jiana has found. She has a specific audience for her music and her passion. I guess, let me see if I can explain this. One thing is don't wait for somebody to hand you a golden ticket. Like there's not one person that's going to just make everything happen for you as a female indie artist. You just need to, to work hard. Connections are important and relationships, are really important. Just, caring about other people, them caring about you. But I think the biggest thing is just, if somebody doesn't like your music, if you believe in yourself, you know that you're gifted at what you're doing, keep pursuing it because there's an audience out there for you. And it's just a matter of finding that. And what might not appeal to one even producer or whoever you send your music to, somebody else is going to love it. And so that's the biggest thing, is just not to be swayed by opinions of people, that you have to really believe in yourself and stay focused on what you want to do and what you want to achieve.
Yeah, that is a really good point. And, I have heard this in many different ways, that artists kind of keep like a love note file for themselves. So if they do get that person that's like, oh no, you're not very good, or I don't like your music or whatever, you go back to these notes that you've kept from people that do love your music. So you always have that to look to remind yourself that, yes, I am doing something valuable. People love it. And I shouldn't stop just because this one person that I met doesn't like it.
Right, absolutely. And I think it's our tendency and our human nature to focus on that one negative. My husband is a school teacher, and, you have one kid in the class who's misbehaving. That's what you tend to focus on, where everybody else is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's easy to let that trip you, to let it trip you up, but don't let it stop you. I've had, if I told you some of the things that people had said to me just in the last 2.5 years, you'd probably shudder. On the other hand, I've had people that have just said the most encouraging things that have just invigorated me, that yes, this is absolutely, they love my music. It's a gift. Keep doing what I'm doing. So that's just my advice.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I have definitely had people say things to me that I'm like, what? And, and then it sticks in your mind, right? But
Right.
again, go back to those love notes. So I would love to hear in the comments if you guys have experienced this. I know it can be so discouraging if you get somebody that tells you, like, what are you thinking? Why are you doing this? Even though 50 other people love your stuff. So pop that in the comments if this has happened to you, because I just want us to support each other and let each other know that, like, we're not the only ones that have felt this way. I do want to also say, Beth, that like several people are wishing you happy birthday. I know I saw
That's so
that Carol was
sweet.
wishing you happy birthday, and I completely forgot that this was your birthday. I'm not even sure. I think I knew it was this week, but I didn't know it was today. So that's like perfect.
Yeah, thank
That's
you
awesome.
so much. I can't see the comments here, but thank you to everyone.
Yeah, you can go back and look at them afterward. So
Yeah.
Jiana, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned in your music career so far?
It's a combination of what Beth talked about, and also the worst, I actually once wrote a blog post about this. The worst advice I was ever given was, oh, you're young. You have time. And why? Because then you start thinking, I got time. Someday somebody will discover me. Someday when I have the money, someday when this, someday when that, someday when I'm done with my master's in music with concentration in voice, all this stuff. No. There's no time like the present. That has been my biggest lesson. I wish I would have done this earlier. Not that I regret doing it now, because probably if I would have done it earlier, I wouldn't have been able to meet you, Brie. But, I really wish I would have done it earlier. I wish I would have been more hard-headed and not listened to my parents, And then, talking about what Beth was talking about, I mean, I feel you when you say that you've heard some things that can make you shudder. I have one to share. One day on YouTube with my original song, which is called I Am, which actually has 1.5K views, okay?
Wow.
More than my cover videos, which is crazy because normally it's the other way around. There was this guy who came over to my channel because I use this service called Tube Assist, which helps you, gain traction, get people to, spread more awareness about your videos and stuff like that. And this guy said that my voice was so horrible that it made him want to neuter himself.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
I mean, how much worse than that can you get? But it was one of those things that it was so bad. It actually didn't affect. It actually made me laugh.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have that much power over you?
Like, you must not think that much of yourself if something this small from someone you don't even know is going to make you want to neuter yourself. Wow. That's just crazy.
What has really affected me in the past, though, has been when people have said, your voice, you shouldn't be putting yourself out there yet. You should grow up, take voice lessons, and then do something. I was like, I've been studying opera for 7 years. I'm sorry that I don't sound like Amy Lee or these other people because I'm a high light coloratura. I will never sound like that. So if you don't like it, move on, But I mean, what has really bothered me is when people have claimed that I haven't studied voice and that I need voice lessons, because I have really worked so hard to get my voice to where it's at today. Did you ever see the videos I sent you, Brie?
I did. I was going to say, you guys should listen to her sing Phantom of the Opera. It's amazing.
I love Phantom of the Opera. And I saw Sarah Brightman on Broadway. I wanted to tell you earlier. So we're kindred spirits in that. Yeah, I love the songs.
So lucky. Yeah, I sent her the video where I actually hit the high E,
Wow,
Which is crazy
that's awesome
to me. I can't even hit a high C anymore.
I've worked so hard to get my voice to that I have like 4-octave range. So for people to say things like that, it's like, that's what has bothered me the most.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, you just get to the point that you're like, delete, block, mute, next. Because I mean, I have over 4,000 likes on Facebook, over 8,000 followers on Twitter, over 7,000 on Instagram. So obviously I'm doing something right. So,
yeah, I mean, you have to remember that we have this great opportunity online to put ourselves out there to so many people that would never find out about us in the first place. And that is an amazing opportunity, but it's also extremely scary. I mean, when I broadcast any of my stuff to a wider audience that don't know me, I'm always bound to get some like weird comments because they don't know me at all. They're like, why are you doing this? Or why did you do your hair that way? Or you need a new pair of glasses, or like stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, that's fine. You don't know me, but the people that resonate with what I'm saying or singing will take the time to get to know me more. And at least I've reached them. Whereas if I didn't put myself out there, I would never have reached them. So it's a trade-off, right?
It is. I mean, yeah. I once was even able to have a victory, let's call it, where I was doing an Instagram live and suddenly this troll gets on there. Oh. And he's like, what are you, 70 years old? I'm like, no. And why should my age matter anyway? And I kept on talking, and all my other fans, they're excited and I'm there or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, you're a 40-year-old that looks 70. And I'm like, whatever. And we just keep on interacting. And he's like, oh, well, you know, and he just kept on saying all this stuff. And I was like, you know what, let's not pay him any attention. Let's not pay the troll any attention. And then we just kept on, and it got to the point where he was like, must feed the troll. The troll needs food. And in the end, he was like, all right, you're actually pretty cool, you know?
Oh my gosh. And the nice thing is that your fans are in there supporting you and sticking up for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was
Which is-
like,
so
you get
cool.
to that point where you have so many people for you that they actually are able to defend you against those little, minutiae of people.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I don't want this to go on for too long because we could probably talk forever, but I do want to ask you guys one more question before you go. And I know my gardener just showed up, so you're going to be hearing some mowing in the background. But last question is, since you guys are both members of the Academy, you know, what say for anybody that was on the fence wondering if they should join?
Yeah. Free, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. I would say just do it. I mean, that's the Nike expression. It's the best value for your money. I've gotten training through, like I said, the Gospel Music Association is awesome. And I've invested money in my music career in other ways, but the sense of community that is built, it's relationships, it's supporting one another. And Bree has really the most comprehensive training, and it's specific. It's very specific and very helpful. And just the ongoing support that she offers and the other women in the Academy, it's well worth the investment. I have to share that when I started out, when I got back from Nashville after my vocal recordings, I cried the entire way home because I was so sad, because I knew, I was like, I've done this amazing thing. I'm ready to go worldwide, but nobody even knows me. And so I knew, I was like, so I've got to go back and I've got to build a fan base. I've got to, start from scratch. And I kind of just wanted somebody to do it for me, but I wouldn't have grown. I wouldn't be the person I am today. It's made me stronger. And to propel forward when I had no support, I was very lonely. And in understanding from you in Academy, during your first stage of your music career, that's very normal. You feel like nobody's in your corner. Nobody really understands. They want you to be who you've always been. And it's not like I changed. I was who I always was. It was just, this is an expression of who I am and getting it out there further. But it was very hard for me. But when I joined the indie community and then the Academy, there's no other groups like it, because you're supporting other people, they're supporting you, and you're learning a tremendous amount that's very invaluable. And the networking, the relationships are just so wonderful. I'm just very thankful. So.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. And we've loved having you. And I did want to ask real quick, like, how do you think it's different having just females in there?
Yeah, I think it creates safety. I love men too, obviously. I mean, I'm married, my husband.
Yeah, me too. People are like, what do you have against men? Nothing, I'm married to one.
Right, I'm nothing against men. I didn't share any of this, but yeah, I've been married coming up on 27 years in July. Wow. I'm a wonderful husband. Yeah, I have two sons that are 14 and 18. They were 11 and 15 when I started this several years ago. But men and women are just different. And women tend to talk more. I think they have 1,000 words for every, a guy can say it in 5 words. I don't know. That's kind of an exaggeration, but we understand each other, and we can also just share how things affect us, and understand each other. Men, it's just the safety and just knowing we're all women. There's just something about it that it's like a sisterhood.
I think it's true too, because, a friend of mine that I'm just going to bring on here next week, Kirsty Manna, she runs songwriter girl camp, and we were talking about, well, why is it just for girls? And she said, because there's just something that changes when men are in the room. Women act differently, whether they're, just trying to put up appearances or flirting or even none of those things, just like that. It's just different. And then I like to create an atmosphere where people can come in their pajamas to our coaching calls if they want. They can come with, no makeup on and feel comfortable there.
Yes, I've noticed that. Yeah. And it's like it's a non-judgment group. And I think it's really cool too, because a lot of genres of music are represented. You're there to provide services for all genres of music. And like Jiana and I are very different. But the common bond we all have is music. We're passionate about that. And that just to support one another, it's awesome. I've always had a heart for women, I guess, even in things I've done, coordinated adoption group, because we adopted both of our sons when they were infants. So I think, I just think it's a great thing. And I'm part of some groups that are not all women, and those are great too. But there's, the Music Launch Hub with Steve and, Michelle Lockey's group for licensing, for TV and film. But it's nice, like you said, so you don't have to worry about what you look like, and you can share stuff that maybe girls really or women can relate to. So it's nice. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So, okay, Jiana, so what do you think? What's your favorite part of the Academy, and what would you say to someone that was considering?
Well, like Beth said, there is no judgment. And I was a bit nervous about that at first, because I am so, I guess, as you would say, alternative lifestyle, and, my beliefs and everything, where it's, it's very eclectic, like paganism and all that stuff. So it's really nice because I don't feel judged. I can, be who I am and not feel judged for it and be accepted. More than anything, I really love the friendships I've made in there. The connections I've made. I mean, everybody is so supportive. Everybody's so uplifting. It's a very positive group. So for me, I mean, like when things didn't work out with that producer, I went into a depression, because I felt so alone, and I felt like, great, how is this ever going to happen? And then when I joined the Academy, that really helped with what I was going through, and really helped me get back on the ball and basically reignite the fire and, start doing things again, because there's nothing like having people holding you accountable, but not beating you up if you don't get it done. It's like gentle push. It's a
yes, I like to think of it as accountability with grace, because we do sometimes need to give ourselves grace. Things happen in our lives, like I've talked about recently on this show, where there's just so many things going on and you just can't focus on music, but you can move forward just a little bit at a time. That's better than nothing. And sometimes we just beat ourselves up and like, well, if it's all or nothing, if I can't do this the way I want to do it, then I'm done. And that is another way that the Academy can support people, like understanding that it's okay if you move a little slower, but you're still moving somewhere.
Exactly. Like when I got my first accountability partners and they told them, my beliefs, and I was like, I hope this is okay. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't think I'm evil.
Yeah, no, I mean, having so many different people from so many different locations, so many different genres, you're gonna feel like you have a place. And I want to call out a few things in the chat here. This is so fun being able to read the chat, because usually it's so hard for me to run the show and read the chat. But Bridget wants to say to Jiana that as a soprano, she's super impressed that you're singing what you're singing, and high E's and all that stuff. And I'm sure she'll probably go over and check out your YouTube videos on that. And Grace said that this was so needed for her today. So I'm so thankful that this, really uplifted you today. You are very hardworking, Grace, and I hope that this, encouraged you to keep going, because what you do is awesome. And Elle said, where did it go? Lots of comments here. Elle said that the Academy has so much current streamlined information combined with a built-in support group. It is
Absolutely.
life-changing. Wow, that's so awesome. Thank you
That's
so much,
awesome.
Elle. So I hope that you two will go back and read these comments when we're done. And because a lot of people were sending some, loving vibes and encouragement and all that in here. And I want to thank you two for coming on here and just giving people just a snapshot of a musician's journey in the indie artist space, and how it doesn't always go how you hoped, but it can still be something amazing. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to start at age 15, and you don't have to have it all figured out by age 50. Like you can continue, and you can learn, and you can emulate other people that are doing what you want to be doing, and you can get encouragement from other women, and the Academy is one place to do that. So if any of you guys are interested in joining the Academy, you can go to femalemusicianacademy.com. I will post in this post at the top a special coupon code, because we are our price has gone up, but I'm still offering this lower price for a couple more days. So I will put that in the top, and just know that if you grab that lower price, that stays with you forever as long as you're a member. So I just want to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for coming and joining us for Indie Interactive. And we'll be back next week with Kirsty Manna of Songwriter Girl Camp. And I've got a super cool surprise for you next week. So come back next week at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Wednesday for Indie Interactive.
Thank you so much, Bree. Bye, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Bye, Gianna.
Bye, Beth.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Bye.